During its history, Rome, as the capital and embodiment of the Latin state, has more than once hung by a thread. But the most dangerous time for it was the time at the dawn of its existence, when in the Apennines, a mass of cities and peoples were approximately in the same state and struggled for supremacy. Then any accident could put an end to the expansion of one nation and bring forward another. During all this period, the most dangerous event for Rome occurred at the beginning of the 4th century BC, when the Gaulish tribe of Senons, led by their leader Brennus, managed to defeat the Latins and capture most of the city. But the heart of Rome, the capital, survived. This saved Rome's fragile statehood. Suppose Brennus took the war with Rome to its logical conclusion. In the temple of Juno, the geese were either deaf or no one heard them, but the Gauls took not only Rome but also its capital. In doing so, the Gauls, infuriated by the desperate resistance, did not make up anything, but organized a real genocide. They not only plundered Rome, but also destroyed most of its inhabitants. Some of them were driven into slavery and some of them were simply killed. Rome could never again revive at the level at which it was. However, a small part of the inhabitants still survived and began to revive the city, which, after the invasion of the Gauls, became just a large village, no claim to anything. In the same century, Rome would finally lose its independence, falling under the control of the Etruscans, who could provide the few inhabitants with some security. The Etruscans would not even have to conquer it. The Romans themselves asked to join the Etruscan alliance. Naturally, this event fundamentally changed the whole story. Carthage, having in competitors only numerous and rather weak Greek states, managed to expand its empire almost all over the Mediterranean, taking under its control the entire north of Africa up to Egypt, all of Spain, and the south of Italy. To seize all of Italy, he was prevented by the very Etruscan alliance, which included the shadow of Rome. At the same time, being quite peace-loving, the Etruscans did not conquer all of Italy. They only subdued the Italian Gauls, who caused constant problems with their raids. After that, they took a frankly defensive position, not climbing into other people's territories, but not letting anyone into theirs. The capital of the Etruscan state became the city of Veii, one of the main competitors of Rome at the dawn of its existence. The result of continuous Greek internecine strife, which began after the death of Alexander the Great, was the relegation of Macedonia proper to slumbering barbarism and decline. At the same time in Greece, there were 3 centers of power that united other polities around themselves. These are Athens, Sparta, and Crete. True, over time, without serious external enemies, Macedonia managed to revive. However, it had no more conquest ambitions, controlling already vast territories in the Balkans and small in the west of Anatolia. In the north of the Balkans, the Illyrian and Dacian tribes managed to unite into states. In doing so, they managed to take control of part of the Greek lands as well. The warlike tribe of the Senons, famous for the destruction of Rome, also had a branch in France, more precisely in Gaul. So, if in Italy their ambitions were brought to naught by the power of the Etruscans, then to the north no one prevented them from capturing all of Gaul, founding the Kingdom of Gaul, with its capital in Sinonia. Germanic tribes, which did not feel any pressure from Rome, after a long internecine struggle, united into a single state, which became the Germanic Empire, located on the territory of modern Germany. In this world, the Illyrian tribe of Pannonians managed to create their own militarized state, which time after time repelled attempts of their conquest by more numerous neighbors. In this world, Pannonia represents the analog of Switzerland from our world, a small warrior nation. Like the Roman Empire, the Huns came to this world in the 5th century. But here they met the combined might of all the Germanic tribes, which stopped them. Here the state of Huns occupies vast Black Sea steppes and quietly exists. Sassanid Persia, in this world, without having a serious rival, took control of the Anatolian peninsula. This allowed it to resist the Arabs in the 7th century and survive into the 9th century. In the 5th century, the Caucasus was conquered by the Huns. However, the Huns could not hold it for long, and by the 9th century there existed independent Armenia and Chalkis, which maintained their independence, maneuvering on the contradictions of the Persian and Hunnic empires. Egypt continues to be controlled by the Greek dynasty. After a long period of wars with Carthage, by the 9th century there was a period of cool peace. And before new threats, for example, from the Arabs, Egypt and Carthage act as allies, a united front. Naturally, Judea in this world Rome could not conquer, it was done by the Arabs. However, in one of the wars, with the help of Egypt, it managed to regain its independence. And it exists in the 9th century. That is, in this world there is no dispersion of Jews around the world. What it can lead to in the distant future, so it is not immediately possible to say. The Arabs still have the Umayyads in power. However, the territory under their control is much smaller than that. The situation with religions in this world is strikingly different from the Roman Empire. There are all the same religious movements as in ours, but the spread of Abrahamic religions is much less. So Christianity spread among the Greek states and in Armenia. In other countries, there are only small communities of Christians. Islam is also fully spread only among Arabs and on the territories controlled by them. In other lands, for example, in Persia, there are Muslims, but they are not the dominant community. In the rest of the territories, their old cults continue to exist, formalized into full-fledged churches, with their own hierarchy, sacred books, temples, and the like. Actually, that's the end of it. I see a lot of holes or strains in this alternative history, but I do not want to talk about it. I would like to hear the opinion of the respected public on the subject of how history would have gone in your opinion if Rome was still destroyed in the 4th century BC.